왕 고요래 드니 다다 서로 트윈직라 드니 왕티 뉴스에 좋다 여러분들 취를 갖다는 여러분들 야요 드니 잡라 드니 마게 왕건이 봐 여러분 공부 또 좋다 제 드니 좀 초당에.
There's going to be a brief teaching on the creation or generation stage of Vajrasattva practice as it was scheduled. And this is going to be followed by Tso offering.
드리다가 왕진하다는 라왕리 바데 왕 톱다 가래 팽겨요. 왕 마톱다 가래 넣어요. 대 가가 하고 그래.
Wang or empowerment. Empowerment, receiving empowerment is to empower oneself. And it is important to understand the benefits of receiving empowerment and the also the negative side of not receiving empowerment.
왕들 다리 다른 고송도 왕섬레 왕섬들 때니 드니 다다 다당보 르라 사이 꽤 왕들라 르죠 왕차 랭기요래 대 왕 마토나 가리 버리는 오 다다 소시 쪽으로 때래 게바 용바 다마 포모 소는 오 간들이 간데이 산 르디 총화 신반데 산이 샤나 바도네들이 지와 섬을 말한 거 봐도 다 르테다 메라 요 빠르낭네 드니 동에 다다나지 드니 뉴모 바토를 콘네 로와를 콘도요 라왕 메바가 박차 민바요래.
You received three empowerment in Sanskrit: Kaya, Vaka, Chitta, body, speech, and mind of Vajrasattva. When you receive body empowerment, that means you are empowered to visualize yourself as Vajrasattva. If you do not receive body empowerment, then what is going to happen is you are going to cling onto the notion that I exist inherently. That kind of clinging onto is going to be imprinted on your mind stream, and you will be habituated in believing that there is an inherent I existing. And when you pass away from this life, you are going to take that mental image forward. And during these Bharto stages, you will go through some kind of phantom experience of having a body which you do not have.
Given developing, Deva Jungzeri, Junguyore, tourism with Deva, given developing, Dungi Junguyore, Pena, Mangshu Dungi Junguyore, Pena, Dachana, not Deva Ina, Gupet Dungi Jungure, tourism, Deva Tere, Tina Pena, Ta Luder, Semi, Kigi someday, take Maret, Kakaret, Ta Wangdel of Detina, Luding war, I'm Shisona. 르드 마다 받자와는 말이 답을하면 배나 답과 가이는 별로 시다다 4,000명으로 설은 용왕 나요래 나 탐지 사지 뚫을 거래 나 탐지가 샘지 탐지 피바다 제와 망보 때해요래 원래 때라티는 선 용왕 나 될 점 르드라 때는 용왕 나를 하지 요래 르디 나는 소 샘지요래 샘때는 유몽 나이다 요래 뉴모만 나한테 라미 시소나 뉴모만 나한테 뭐 시소나 빼 이시간라 저야 요래 다 상제로 요래 대 마시가 뉴모만 나한테 칼라 뉴모바 센나자 도차 칼라 센나자래 뉴모바 독은 절래 독적을 단도 와도 참도 요래 빼나 디스나 마미바 멤바 대디 사지 샘지니 저지 이제 찍래 心痛我嘛就切巴来的，最嘛就切巴来的，这里对了。他往个刚出了我住进了，他就没把结果来的，没住进了搞的结果了。他当我绿了，来怪往他的接人，绿就得把他的呢。绿的生命卡卡的，生可能没老能一的，刚要做出来要嘛，结果能一的。对了，拉刚过了，刚用着了，啷个用着了的。底下讲的大那个用我讲那一个了，对讲说呢，绿的怕热了了的，啥你晓得干么？那批说了多了，那天了一个了热了的，那绿的让往头了的。
And this very body of ours is because of our habituated tendencies. In this life, yes, we will experience happiness. That happiness would be probably something like 5%. The rest of it would be suffering, pain and suffering. We have this idea that body and mind are the same. And these are not same. Physical bodies, the nature of one's physical body is purity. It is the 5 elements. 5 elements are the manifestations of the enlightened being. There are the 5 elements to benefit sentient beings. Our own body is the constitution of our own body is the 5 elements. And in this body lies our mind. And in our mind we have the 5 afflictive emotions. If we understand the nature of these afflictions, then we turn the afflictive emotions into 5 wisdoms. If you understand that and experience it, that is enlightenment. On top of the 5 afflictive emotions, if we add the miserliness, stinginess, and that becomes 6. These 6 negative emotions are the reasons for one's rebirth in the 6 realms of existence. Empowerment ripens our continuum, because the nature that lies in all of us is the same. Buddha nature is the same as the nature of enlightenment. And during empowerment, that nature is introduced to you. So when you receive body empowerment, you purify all bodily related obscurations. Mind, its nature is like a looking glass. Whatever kind of deities you visualize will be reflected on your mirror-like mind. When you meditate on deity, then you can change your physical body into the deity body. And that is what's meant by empowering you to shift from your physical body into the body of the deity.
ngā la sōngu wāngze, ngā la sōngu wāngte, mā tōp na kārī yungu yore dēna, bēn mēchī ka cik nīmō zi chūla xie na, dī ngā nīmō xie tōn, dē ngā lō tē yī chī ka chōpō bēn dēk chā xie yin rō di, nyōng tā tē ka lō yore, mē nī bā dē chūla cik mē nī bā nē chik xie chū mē kē mē nē dē xie na, dē sēm la zōng nē, khōng tō lāng nē tē la, 가시 미 가시 세리 제거요. 가시 로 망볼 때 셈만 정도 다 냐비 저사커요. 레지. 코도 되게 냐비는 제거요. 레지. 맞지게. 책을 내려 뒤에 control ngaja do cha che da tamok cha do cha ma nga la ti le or nyung ge yo le ole nyu mo ba ga ri che na de ge chu sen la che na ya da la che ge yo le ya tamok che na de ro le che ge yo le he dang che na nya wa le che ge yo le ya ta do cha chi bo ye na me le che ge yo le ole nga je la che ge de nyu mo ba to ke ta ro wa re to dong ye chu so ge yo le che na ta do ko de de na pe na ta nga la song gu wang de ta de xie yo dong ma ge wa de xie yo la de ko
Yes, sir.
dong ye de lo
Next one is speech empowerment. What happens if you do not, when you receive speech empowerment? Or what happens when you do not receive speech empowerment? When you do not receive speech empowerment, then what happens is when someone says something that is appealing to your ears, you're going to like it a lot. And you are going to say that that person is indeed my best friend. But if someone says something not so pleasing to your ears, that's going to generate a lot of negative emotions, sometimes to the point of killing each other. In lesser situations, one would not speak to each other for a long, long time. This kind of emotion is the cause for one's rebirth in the realm of hell. And speech is a source of a great many creation of great many negative karma. It can bring onto surface a number of afflictive emotions. Anything related to stinginess or miserliness will mean that one will be reborn in the realm of hungry ghosts, ignorance, animal world, aggression, realm of hell, and desire and attachment. One will be reborn. This kind of seems to apply to humans more so than others. Egocentric, pride, that's something that the gods have. So all these are reasons for one's rebirth in the 6 realms of existence.
다 나라 서고 왕 톱나 가리래 너무 나 어떻게 제거해 주 니발라 차 미발라 당나 대충 출발해 주 소소의 연디데 요나 몇개 주要보 말이데 남나 주 용디데 매도 저거 말봐 주랑의 연디 르부 연디 매는 몇개 떠봐 야체는 주 야들어야 요 말이 소소 가리에는 소시 좀 조당 용데 소시 하고 그래 대에서는 미리 책이 지서 말하는 거래 강 람나 미리 많이 받아 람나 코랑이 비교 말해 뉴모 비교해 코랑 다당을 컨트롤하네 이 컨트롤하네 랍이야 대 동반이 랍차도 요 말해 나도네 책 탐지 가리해나 빼나 파 딱고 맞아 봐 야샤나 들이 돈다 가리요 말해 아래 남미스는 다른 거 파 밀라 nga chapa ma mo xie ke yo le drama da te tham che dong yo be ke cha de xie phe be ke cha me ni be tham che cham ya ne di cham la ka le da nga da go le hla de nga de hla ge ko de sa gom le mai ba gom le di hla de ni sa wo sem da la in di ma di ge pa de te nga ba cha kyo de da go song le te ka le sem da hla ni ka ka me ba 샘들 공지 차는 뻑되는 얘들이 샘을 플라팅 열터봐 가지지나 왕스 사프가 되니 공지 차는 되니 산 플라팅 하건 저기요래 배나 플라곰 좀 매다왜 나한테 롱다왜 송 되니 하건 좀 봐라 되니 세 용어 같은 용화인데 트피컬에 되니 용어 같은 게 나이 니도 미 같은 게 나를 줄네 되니 샘부 똑똑 마땅나 Then you tell Datam Chiran, you go not debated upon Jondo. Oh, my, you tell Lamsa and your own Mister. Oh, then you not in the Chadan to Pachi or Mari. Then not around to your head, Bena. Not a song go on.
Now, what happens if you do receive empowerment? This case is speech empowerment. First of all, it introduces you to speech. And when you receive it, you will come to realize that all the sweet sounds and not so sweet sounds are all illusions. If you have good qualities, it wouldn't matter if people say otherwise. If you do not have good qualities, people can flatter you and praise you. Still, it will not instill good qualities in you. So it is important not to chase empty words. Whatever is said, whatever you hear is emptiness. There's no reason for you to have attachment to empty words. And it's important not to engage in idle gossip. Instead, one should recite mantra. One should visualize the body of Vajrasattva. And until your mind and the deity body merges, one should recite a mantra. Mind is something like a picture. Whatever channel you switch on, it's going to be reflected. And when you visualize deity, it is like the fire. A recitation of mantra is like wind. Wind enhances the fire. And in this way, all the sound of the elements will be the sound of mantra. Everything that is sweet to the ears or otherwise all turn into the sound of mantra. And then it will eliminate attachment and aversions arising out of speech, because one is empowered, one receives the speech empowerment.
Yes. Il took your ones, Lungani, Yobotavere, send the Burmotavere. That's similar took your one, similar took it. Similar took your one about it. That and Dorjes about one going. Solo Dorjes about it, Namke chop there. Took Chuka at Nippen, Chuka Jasa, and Namke Kachabla. Simply Tamche, say Yeta Kamla, chop your head. Tapotion can Saji Tamchi took the instrument chop the Beram, Dorjes and Battery chop Chibore. Oh, so the teacher, you're away, you're it. Tata the same wing or Tani Tamjek, and the same wing or Namto, maybe same Namto, Tamchi Pa, Jur, in the same wing or certain and some Namto, maybe same, oh, you to Maniba, Range. Gaza one more Ramdina, the Bekashi, theatre union at Tong Tong Tong. No more maybe send Namkata was in Tongo Yore. They talk of the Takietana. Call. Chirong Chong Tin Namkata was something, then I made social same take and Namkeka chop the Yore. Ole. You book on to the Saja Chibitawa, Doka Chibitawa, then daily. Oh, you Tong Unibo constant, oh, Tang and then Namkeka chop. That since Hanji in Bango she did not since Hanji do some half concrete Tata the Chung Chung Giore, Tata Carre dinner. Rang same with Nampo Zangi Karisha, Chokyo. Oh, similar time clean time you own, then you Mumbai, then Magiva, Hako Yore. Similar time, Michel, oh, Nala no better than Naji who got the Nando Chai who got a tap and control you got a local you got it. You move one land draw your same task, oh, take the junior to Kaka the need about the your head. One Matova Tamse, you move one the control, Penaco, Motago to Tapo Mevata, Comacha Patam, Saja, Dojaji, Tartango, 나보 요와 탐제 추은저거요. 오, 시랍 요바 탐제. 오, 창통문이 다만 팀이니 약합 참송고 그마 야문이 삼니 랑돌고 내라 마몽바디 시랍 요래. 데레 대화양 요래. 시랍 매바들 대화양 요머네 시라양이 송로 동고 천들라야 동해래 빼나. 토지 왕지바 뒤비 시랍들 왕차요 그래지. 난그 돌지서 봐 대래지.
Mind empowerment. Mind empowerment is important because body and speech are the servants of the mind. Mind is the most important one. Outwardly, we visualize a Vajrasattva that pervades all space. And you yourself have that nature inside you, in your mind. A mind that is free from conceptual thoughts. When you do away with conceptual thoughts and look at the nature of mind itself, you are going to then experience moments of conceptual thought, less pure mind. Depending on one's own caliber, some individuals are likely to experience that state of mind for longer periods than others. And when you experience true nature of mind, then that nature pervades all things, merges with the space, which is all pervading. In other words, this is experience is Mahamudra experience. This is the great perfection, Dzogchen experience. When you can train your mind to stay in that mode for an indefinite period of time, then that is called enlightenment. So it's important to be able to meditate on your nature of mind and then recognize when negative emotions arise. And when you recognize negative emotions arise, and when you do not put those negative emotions into practice, and that is then in keeping with the tradition of the realized practitioners. And the ones who are not experienced in this practition will be overcome by such negative emotions. When you do not receive the mind empowerment, and then you are just out of control, then you will be something like an old vehicle driven by some thieves and robbers, driving every which way without much control. When you have wisdom, then you will know what is good and what isn't. Alcohol abuse, drug abuse, these you will know are no good for you, and therefore you will not indulge in these bad habits. And when you receive mind empowerment, then you are empowering your mind, mindfulness, the alert mind, and these are empowered now, activated.
Tini tena tata tati tukyo wangje gangla tingre tena tini tata sakhinda dokhin tamje gangla tawala me chulong hotu gores tawala ma de gare tusum je sanje tamje tokdang tawala ma 톡냐 제발이요 말해. 라마 사제 무슨 공고요래. 고마 담제 마인바. 두산제 두섬제 사제 탐제가 톡에 준비시랍당 따블라마 톡 준비시랍 제발이요 말해. 대마딘 직디 컴네 저 라마 게위신이 탐제 톡 시랍당 따다랑그 따블라마 톡 시랍당 제발이요 말해. 시랍 삼아 찍대 다랑시에 바는 진 다블이나 총고 또다지 요나 쳐대 찍어도 말해. 대답을 이제 배나 다 다른 내초도로 왕골요래. 왕골 감이 다 다리 나는 세일라 말해. 남벨라마 주 도제서 봐 주라게 닝거나 요래. 가래리들 미 왕쇼요 대왕 왕 톱동상 비티시 대래. 대기 주다리 개랑 요래. 고조스나 잡쇼이 드바메게 샤지 주케랑 걸어. 디셈트 티비시랍 대종나 다 마음발라. 다 뉴모가 게게 똑바 강제라 대탐체 뉴모가 똑바테 그 왕도 마당네 진식을 안사 전소나 그 메도리 쳐당 랍지들이 디 지사다나 쳐에 랍된 차롬는 전도요래 다주 레사들이 박차야 다다들 륜드다 저고요 로아르도 륜드 레사들이 박차저고 박차가 다 륜드 저고요 등에 삼아 되게 저고요 같이 대주 무슨 소나 뉴모바 시소를 레사가 말 레마사는 박차요 막 박차면 다주 상제로 하변나 다 남글라마 주 들은 배나가 장랑 셈들이 저 데비시랍데 들이 상하 적반데 왕데 다 진시데 많이 봐 정당나 데비시랍데 영마 송나 고송토 왕 참아 선배요래 상하 담색 적자로 담색 되더니 까포 직탑이야 되래 즉시 건로야 되래 맹만 보여래 대 톡조 왕 되래 디 데비시랍도 왕차요 그래 데비시랍도 왕차 매는 유무 버지스 욕수나 다 줄라메 제야 요 말에 세 라마레 페 라마레 난글 라마레 문이 라마레 다랑 티시타 라마레 데 톡조 왕 되래.
Mind empowerment means introduction of true nature of mind. It is done by one's own root lama. Root lama's mind and the mind of the enlightened beings are the same. That's how you should look at the root lama. In fact, the mind of the root lama and the mind of all other lamas is the same. Remember that example of the moon reflecting in all kinds of bodies of water. So, I am the outer lama. So the inner lama is the nature of Vajrasattva, which is in your own mind stream. That mind aspect of the mind which says, yes, I received the Vajrasattva empowerment. Then you took refuge. You said you would purify negative karma. And that mind, which brings an awareness that you have taken refuge, that you have felt remorse, that you have purified your negative karma. That aspect of the mind is your inner lama, mindfulness and alert mind. When you have these aspects of the mind on guard, then when negative emotions arise, it is just like waves coming on the surface of the ocean being your true nature of mind. When you do not follow those negative emotions, then where do the waves disappear? They disappear from where they appeared in the first place. when you do not unleash negative emotions, you do not create karma. When you do not create karma, there's no reason for you to make an imprint on your mind state. When you do not carry forward that imprint, then you have nothing to create your next body. So when your mindfulness, mindful and alert mind, when these are on guard, you will recognize afflictions. When you recognize afflictions, then you will not put into practice. You will not unleash these negative emotions, which means you will not create the causes and the conditions to be reborn, which means enlightenment. So receiving the mind empowerment is, in it is both the body, speech and mind. It is sometimes called as know one, know all. So when you receive the mind empowerment, everything else will fall into place, because you are empowering your mind to recognize negative karma. So remember that outer lama and inner lama.
Tini kosong to tamsik sumna bena. Tini ranga lupungan jinji ya hlayin ba shini o sen yungwa nga da hlaga ram ye nang ranga pungan jinji tamje hlaga ram ye sa ha ko na o tini semji tamje pungan jinji rang da jikpa le ole rang la dershik nyingbo semji tamje le dershik nyingbo yo le o tini ta kashe pe tini semji nang la jyelam ngimba ji o nyumo ba tuli jyeon le 레당 박차도 중래 가시를 싫어요 봐 레드 빠사를 되니 담비 출을 빼도 대봐요 봐 원래 되니 담비 죽어로 적도 받았지 근데 레다 박차 싸봐 싫업 치봐 대다가 대다리 동다 앞에는 그 교남 장보이노 민바이노 탐지를 되시 님본도 탐지의 그 평감찜지 닭발이 삼사지 딴데 라리 데리서 똑같이 줘 말이 원래 오 탐지 닭발 사이랑 비리 좀 다능기나 소주도 바다로 요리 오 근데 장보리 있잖아 작발은 전도 근데 니말이 있잖아 나와는 전도 요리 오 라마 개베신이는 니 라마데 야보리 있잖아 저 대바데 찌요리 양적 니발이 있잖아 저들아 록다 찌요리 다리 대바 찌리데 록다 찌리데 다 접도 요리 배나 컴바야 아식 마르식 가르식 베디지 용구 요리 되나 다능 소미 찌에 살지 다 저리 쫑 강연 좀 고요 말에 다 용딘 가리를 랑 셈들 찍는 뭔데 도지 발음낭이 다데 같이 드니 저만면나 드니 고 체르도 드니 사지게 용딘 랑 셈이 연구를 이는 짜고 말에 랑 이제는 요아래 도지 발음 거고 도지 발음 콜라 열에만이 이거 총땅 거 말에 빼티는 게 드니 오 차당이 같은 잘서나 드니 셈이 용딘 연구요래 됐나. Now the samaya is pure vision. Having received tantric empowerment means you have to have pure vision. Once the 5 skandhas of one's body, 5 elements or dhatus, 5 sense bases, they all must be seen as pure. 5 elements are pure, should be seen as deities. Skandhas and the elements must be seen as deities. If you do that, then knowing that all sentient beings have your own Buddha nature, that means all sentient beings are also pure. There's no difference between yourself and the sentient beings, because all have the Buddha seed in them.
But sometimes you come across people with bad habits, bad attitude, and understand that these are because of accumulation of obscurations. Other times you come across people who are very, very, who have very good attitude, who are well behaved. Again, in this case, you should understand that it is because of less accumulation of less obscurations, whether one is well behaved or otherwise, good attitude or bad attitude. It is important after receiving this empowerment that you view all as pure. When you say this person is good, and in kicks the attachment. When you say this person's bad, when there's your aversion, we need to avoid these. If you say, well, this is a wonderful Lama, and generate devotion, you are accumulating merits. And then you turn around and say, well, that Lama is not so good. You create negative karma. One nullifies the other. So, since we all have the Buddha nature, and that Buddha nature is in the mind, it is very important to view all sentient beings as pure.
This is not a thing. That mass is bad. Long time Chavaji and Rajitam Jatlaran Tonga. Zimbabwe, not on lad. They talk about some jail, Majorandari, the new meaning comes of no or Pa Mali Janetini, that don't disease to one mena, Majatam say. This same with all the new mobile number of what jail. They Jesus Madame Ransala. She's from Chadam Lab, you do, Bebertan Le Masana, till he took the thumbs of this. Till he day you but he told over, hungry, Timmy Shirap there. Timmy Shirap, you want to draw your head. Timmy Shirap, the duck water our head. You what a number of your command our head. No, they don't tongue to Nicadi in the same number of carriages on, then number of the ma, watch on the head. Tinto took the thumbs head. Jinto Ishiro Baje, the custom took a tamsek, Sanga tamsek, did. Body, speech, and mind samaya. Body samaya is seeing all sentient beings as pure deities, treating all sounds as the sound of mantra is the speech samaya, and not following conceptual thoughts, letting them come, letting them go, just like waves arising and waves disappearing. That would be the mind samaya. Conceptual thoughts are like thieves. Mindfulness and alertness in the mind is like the owner of the properties. So, being alert, not following conceptual thoughts, would be the yeshit ropa, or the play of wisdom. So those are the body, speech, and mind obligations, or samaya, after receiving the empowerment. Then that Lord Duna, that Sanjake, the part of the joke already. Go to the jobs on a joker. That candy joker the Musa, repeat on a hack over a penna. Kari Jacondo, dinner, Sanjay gets up to be shirab the red. True minute, New Year the red. That you are a semi none of your idea, what? They Nike, Penna. That was what don't make your country, she down the what? Ben the media children know what's happening down. A lot of human song, the tenor, that. 노바 잡진도 땅에 초대라 콘트롤랑나 다 메티 줄로 노바 탱요래 주 콘트롤 대 냐바르게 저러가지 야 다 산지 거래서도 오 메티 파마 제요래 등게 nga 리차 블로그 답고 다당가는 노바 땅요 이상 주 삼중제 지나 그 가야 탑이어 말해 배나 줄라 노바 탱요 말이지 중국에서 짭탑을 했지 줄로 뉴모바 집에 해당대양 다다 깨직 말에 똥반이 세당 오랑 예매와 시네 세당 나사라 야나 나칼을 좀 봐면 미도 요리 때 돈 담배 봐 돈이 그 봐래 돈이 등 니게니 네 봐대가 무슨 줄다 다 짭한다 와 랑그라는 시제는 대니가 뭐는 주 세당 끼마 다들 주 매적 세나 챈들라야 동해래 세 스마이 야와라 제요래 the pain is out, the learning the logic.
In conclusion, taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, taking refuge in the Buddha helps. Buddha can protect us, give refuge in this life, next life, and in the Pardo stages. You can say how so and investigate yourself. One's alert mind is the Buddha. Compassion is the Dharma. And pain and sufferings arise from aggression and anger. Just like it was taught in the 37 Bodhisattva practice, if someone causes you grave pain and suffering, if you do not lose your temper, if you do not unleash your anger or hatred, and it will benefit you. If you unleash your anger and hatred, and not only has that person inflicted pain and suffering on you, but you have created negative karma which will be cause for your rebirth in the realm of hell. And Buddha teaches us to treat all sentient beings as one's own parent. If someone does an awful lot of causes pain and suffering to you, you should understand, says the Buddha, that these are as a result of your past negative karma, debt that you owed to this individual which you did not pay. That's how you should think of this misfortune. And when you have anger or hatred, very strong negative emotion, when you investigate these negative emotions do not have an inherent nature. It is like cloud formation in the sky. By the power of emptiness and compassion, one will be able to overcome these negative emotions. And if you have a lot of anger and hatred, when you are overcome by these, then you will do such thing as killing and other things.
드니 다다다디 다른 왕게들이 디 제름도 왕 탐치를 드니 가시 왕나가 이해래 될라더니 대답을 제름도 달라 띠네 드니 좀 다른 레와 강해야 되나 배나 원들이 다다 잡 세고 조선데 잡 휴네 낭냠설이 말라 잡았어 대근 레버를 껐으면 되니 답이요래 레버 껐으면 되잖아 사지 희바지라 껐으면 사지 껐으면 그도 아니지 껐으면 아니 사지 좀 되는데 껐으면 가리는데 추가 남가다 딱 봤더니 남게 가차로 잡을 돼요래 저를 그저 작아요 말했지 드니들 롱거지 받아 인지 침보고 오래 당만이 그래서 잠비도 마셔주는 그 삼인계 공고리 또 인지에다 맞아 봐지 곰도 인지 체르 손은 이 똥만이 다 인지 쳐다보면 이제 가가매와 차들 니지랑 인데게 다 심지 동의지 담게 롱거 되네 되네 남카는 자총다 되네 레 딱바 탐지는 통야요 봐 개자해야요 봐 무릎대야요 봐 초토몽 무릎 참아 롱거 그때 그요래 되네 뚜거 되네 롱거 양통 뭐 톱더니 심지 랭이 봐 로아를 두고 끼와 랑소나 다 뚜거 되네 무슨 되네 로아를 두 소시 적지네 되네 레까지네 냠들 되네 핀다 그요래 얼레 Padula, Pomodula, Nordula, Norsong, Rima Loretta, Simpson Tampi, the Pinton, Nixing Torta, Metota, Trintang, Chapa, Lasopa, Samba, Chola Sopa Tampi, Sama Trucurete, Titum Hakosona. Oh, Chilam Tampi, Cosum Granani, Mandeva Red, Tampi Cosum and Sangure. Not the day of Toya, you read. The Kwanami.
Three outer refuges, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And when you actually practice, it is the three roots, Lama, Yidam deity, and the Dakini. And the result of that taking refuge and practice of the inner three roots is the actualization of the three kayas, or three bodies of the enlightened being. Dharma, Sambhoga, and Nirmana kayas. And Dharmakaya is like the huge expanse of space. Sambhogakaya is the manifestation of Dharmakaya. It is the compassion of the Buddha taking form like the rainbow in the space. And those people with very little obscurations will be able to see the Sambhogakaya state of Buddhas. Talk to them, see them, and receive the excellent and common siddhis. And the third kaya is the Nirmana kaya. Nirmana kaya manifests as human beings or other sentient beings come to the six realms of existence and fulfill the needs of sentient beings. Whosoever desires a son will get this son. Those who desire wealth will receive wealth. The fruits, for example, flowers, clouds, rain, bridges, water, everything conceivable, they are all Nirmanakaya Buddhas.
Yo, 태양. 그 tamang네 tukuri ning 더 많이 하고 그래. 상하 동신을 람상하고 그래. 어더니 대답에 연딩이 되다다. 가 요래되는 배나 동부 침보 지금 레벨들이 용간을 삼정마도 여 말해 배나 아시고 따인 레벨이네. 대다다 무슨 셈이 되니 생모 통나 열에 배나. 셈 찍어 넣는 들이 꽃선 거 연딩이 무슨 열에 생모 통나. 가래리 되나. 셈 고는 거 통화들은 된 통대 맹 따져매와 남한하기 차도고 열에 맹도매와. 대 죽고 상황을 해지. 대사오 랑거지 민도 상킨 초와 싸워서 열에 대 롱거 상황을 해지. 소리고 똥만이 돼 대사 윤을 보고 똥만이 체롱 총롱 원래 남캐 같이 찹된 남카나기 니는 미도 하마와 찹대와나기 요래 대 뚜고 상황을 해. 뒤에는 hingi 요래 삼hin기 요래 대변나. 뚜고대 삼hin기는 경고 요래. 들이 다다네 요래.
론저 자와 갈래 소소로.
롱고 상황가 싸와. 그럼 싸와. 똥만이라. 장그 셈을 따다 당보. 장그 셈을 때다. 셈도 똥만이 왜?
셈은 돈은 백민 민도기 매우도 추구제. 근데 론저 저걸 가리 얼성성.
똥만이 막 철크요라.
나서.
당보 장그 지금 적거래.
나서.
장그 철직 따라서.
다 하고서.
오케이.
Okay. Rinpoche says, when you have understanding of the tantric teachings, then you will see understand the nature of your mind. when you begin to see the true nature of your mind. That experience on which you cannot possibly put a label, that kind of experience is the sowing of the seed of Dharmakaya, Rinpoche says. Then understanding that that nature is, emptiness is, sowing the seed for some actualization of Sambhogakaya state of Buddhahood. And then that compassion part which accompanies the emptiness is the nirvana, sowing the seed for the actualization of Nirmanakaya state of Buddhahood.
Teni te tata tōpar sepa la ta tata ngaso kāngi jina tō yīpī ngā lō dere semki tamje pāmayi samba semki sokcha mitang kāng sot hong na pēna nīje sā gō yore pēna tata deri nī mīndi kāng thong jina tāmbo mītik la tēna o chū kāre sām ka dō dē ngē ngō shīga mārē kāre sām ka dō kāng chōba yo mārē yā lō gē pā zingā 직사모도 아베 디자 내 바와 제열에지 밤에 게모도 오니 네 마마 제 무슨 체마 제열아 뭐 정정도 니 조모 제열에 스모 제열에 상 드리서모도 드리 람서 밑에를 제와도 제용 거래 딱히 제와한테 다 예비 넣었다 그래 네 말에 제와 팅찍게나 드리 예비 넣으면 대열에 빼나 사제가 상축 sem표를 뭐지 손에 첸들 축군데 지와 체람만 몰라 라야 매번 넣어 데리 대사하고 초사들이 대사하고 그래 다 대사하고 탈니 말에는 니게 가서 이렇게 대사하고 그래 다 대사하고 탈니 말에는 니게 가서 이렇게 대사하고 그래 내리 속고래 니게요나 니게면은 잡는 게 되오나 피도 강요 말해 되나.
The mind willing to benefit others is a very precious mind. Therefore, you should have compassion for others. In a crowded situation, when you look at an old man, you should think of that as your father, because he has been your father once upon a time. When you see an old lady, you should think of her as your mother. When you see a young lady, you should think of either your sister or your girlfriend, because that's what had taken place in the past. Love and kindness is just like wish-fulfilling, jewel. That's why the Buddha said, the precious bodhicitta, where there isn't bone, may it be born, etc. This one?
근데 강연되는 이 샘도 상기의 인용 다다 난진이다 차당스럽나 되니 되니 차그럼 다 저래야 돼. 되니 대쇼고는 이핑으로 삼hinge도 좋다 그래. 대미는 자완이 도야요. 돈이 다다 저도 공부는 전에 가장 공부용인데 삼hinge 맞지는 사제그랑 이제 또 자완이요 말이. 다른 철시나 산이 방칸도 그래. 니가야셔 뭐나 방칸도 그래. 오래 뉴모바디는 양 방 처럼 차로 요래. 양 전에도 보면 때에서 sem으로 보죠. 양 뉴모바디는 큰거지 핀도 요 말에. 디팅이 담지에 싸고 땅. 되는 가서 총걸 땅 게.
Mind is the reason for one's reaching enlightenment. Mind without attachment and clinging. Whenever there is attachment, then mind freezes. And that frozen ice cube must be melted with willingness to help others, which is kindness and love towards others. And if there is no loving kindness and compassion, it will be extremely difficult trying to stabilize the mind, which is what shamatha meditation or calm abiding meditation is all about.